Hello everyone, and today in this video I'm going to cover the topic of the four natures of people, or the four social orders. And to begin with, I'm going to talk about the three qualities of nature. This is something that was covered in the previous videos where I talked about the three layers of life, and today I'm going to cover it. Going to cover it just in brief, and then. The four natures of people in any society, with the exact qualities of each categories, as well as which professions represent these natures. And also briefly I'm going to talk about the structure of a harmonious society, of how it could be organized, and how it's presented in the holy scriptures of different traditions, how it could be organized in a way where people would be more happy, more developed in different areas of life, and more and better doing their duties. And apart from that, I'm going to talk about the ways how people could cooperate, as well as some aspects of the healthy competition, and altogether how it goes along with the four goals of life. And as for the three qualities of nature, these are the goodness, passion, and ignorance. And this is something that makes up the whole being around us, which is which means that everything that we see in the world is basically the combination of these three qualities of either goodness, passion, or ignorance. And if talk about the first quality, which is goodness, it could be also called the positive energy, and it could be characterized as harmony, clarity, balance, knowledge. Also something that is related to kindness, being able to do duties without attachment to the results, as well as with the enthusiasm, with the aspects of good mood, the balanced development in all the areas of life. And if we talk about the quality of passion, this is something that could be also called the neutral energy. This is where we would find some aspects of movement, transformation, excessive activities or desires in the world around us. And as for the qualities in a person's character, this would be the aspects of excessive desires, a desire to work hard in order to achieve some material things. This is being in the duality of happiness and distress. And at the same time, the quality of ignorance, this is something that could be called the negative energy. It could be characterized as the aspects of darkness, laziness, delusion, some intoxication or destruction. This is something that could be also related to the disorganization or some criminal activities in the society. And as for these three qualities of nature, the first one, or goodness, it could be characterized as the balanced development in all areas of life. And as you can see on the graphs on the right, it's a sort of like stable wave of smooth ups and downs. So it's basically a something that is stable, and something that is related to stable and harmonious development. And if we talk about the quality of passion, this is where we would see, as on the second graph, we would see the either excessive ups or downs. This could be either in terms of achieving income or some other achievements, or in terms of mood, either it's super happy or super bad mood. And in terms of the ignorance, we would see that it's sort of like a disorganization, like you can see on the graph, where it's something where you wouldn't be able to see any pattern of either doing activities in the organized way, or if not doing them at all. And so these are the three qualities that make up the world around us. And the next part I'm going to cover is the four natures of people, and this is something that we can find in any society, be it in the Western cultures and the Eastern cultures, or in any part of or in any period of the time of the Earth history. So we have the intellectual class, as well as the ruling class, the entrepreneurial class, and the labor class. And just to mention in brief, at this point, is that the way how the nature of people is identified, be it in either of these four categories, is based on not on the birth itself, but from the qualities a person has from birth. So it means that if a person is born in a family of, let's say, factory workers, but at the same time this person has great analytical abilities, a desire to study the sciences, or let's say holy scriptures, it means that that he's actually of the intellectual class, and this is something that he has to pursue in his life. Or on the other hand, if a person is born in a family where let's say one of the parents is a surgeon, it does not mean that their child is automatically a surgeon. It means that they would have to get a higher education first in order to become a surgeon. Or if he does not have a nature to be a surgeon, he would still have to pursue the nature of his own. So to talk about the intellectual class in more detail, here we can see that the professions like teachers or mentors, assessors, scientists, priests, psychologists, or let's say coaches, some doctors, advisors, ideologists, or some software developers would be in this category. And there are some 3 to 4% of these people among the whole population who have this nature. And the values and duties of this class are to study knowledge and to give it to others. And basically, if a person has this nature, it means from childhood they would have a desire to study the world around us, probably to set some experiments, to have great analytical abilities of how things, in order to explore how things are, and how to make the world a better place. And the belief, like the natural belief of this class is they believe that knowledge would save the world. And if you talk about the personal qualities of this class, we would find in them the qualities of peacefulness, also self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, wisdom, and religiousness. So basically, this is the class which is mostly focused on the quality of goodness out of the 3 qualities of nature. And the intellectual class, they are more focused on studying the knowledge in depth, trying to understand the world around us, to give guidance to others, to teach, to set experiments, to study the Holy Scriptures, to combine knowledge from different aspects of life. And as for the next class, which is called the ruling class, these would be the professions of kings, ministers, police, military, company managers, administrators, deputies, and some others. And these are some 4 to 5% of the total population. And as for the values and duties of these categories of people, would be power, control, and also order. and it means that these people are they are passionate. So basically, um, they are mostly driven by the combination of passion and goodness. If you consider it from the point of view of the three natures, the three qualities of material nature, and the ruling class has a desire to control, to organize the society, to protect, to study the martial arts, to be physically active, to organize the systems in a way that others would be happy to live there, to protect others. And as for the personal qualities, we would find something like heroism, power, determination, resourcefulness, also courage in battle, generosity, and leadership in them. And in best case, even in terms of the democracy, we would most certainly find that those politicians or kings to be elected, these are mostly those who would have sort of like these qualities represented in them, and which increases the chances of them being elected. And the next class would be the entrepreneurial class, and among these people we would find business people of different levels, as well as the company owners, but usually not the managers, because this is usually the nature of the ruling class. We would also find bankers among the entrepreneurial class, brokers, sellers and resellers, also the landlords, also some other professions, and this would be some 6 to 7% of the total population. And as for the duties of this class, this would be to create the commodities and services. This goes usually with the help of the labor class, as well as the entrepreneurial class. They create the cash flows in the society. So basically, they organize the economics there in terms of the commodities and services that are present in the society, among the cash flows as well. And as for the personal qualities of the entrepreneurial class, we would find business, farming, banking, and also the cow protection. This is as for the cow protection. This goes from the Vedic times, which was in the past. And as of right now, we would see that the entrepreneurial class, they are mostly busy with doing different aspects of business, farming, and banking. And as for the labor class, we would find those who are like artists, drivers, or let's say cooks, construction workers, actors, musicians, or for example, the call center personnel. And this would be some 85% of the total population. And as for the duties as well as the values of this class, this would be to create physical things, to provide services to others. This is some aspects of entertainment as well. And the personal qualities of the labor class would be an ability to do labor in different areas of life, and also to have talents that allow them talents that allow them to do it in the best way. This is also the service to others, creating material things or doing some artistic works. So imagine an artist who creates great paintings, or a musician who makes like the masterpiece music, or a director, actually, or let's say the actors who participate in the movies, the movie editors that make up like altogether like the movie that the cameraman shoot based on the guidance from the director. So this would be the activities of the labor class. And the next part would be about the divine system of society organization, and basically the way how it's presented in the systems of the different holy scriptures. It's basically that the intellectual class is on top of the society. It does not mean that they rule the society, but they are on top in terms of the guidance of guiding others. And it can be also compared that the intellectual class is the head of the society, if that is, if to present the society as the human body. And the next part would be the ruling class, which would be like the arms of the society. And then there goes the entrepreneurial class, which is the stomach, or sometimes it's called the upper part of the body of the society. And the next part would be the labor class, which is the legs of the society. And this is the part where I would also mention that the thing which is called the equality is something that has to be presented. It has to be understood on the spiritual platform, and this is something that the whole scriptures of the different world religions talk about. That on the level of the soul, we're all equal, and the misunderstanding that could be sometimes found in modern societies is that the concept of equality is sometimes presented on the material platform, which means that there is an attempt to put that equality artificially on the material platform, but in fact it only exists on the spiritual platform. So it means that that the king, or let's say a janitor, they are not on the equal level in terms of the material hierarchy, but on the spiritual in terms of the spiritual level, they are on the equal level of the spiritual understanding of the soul. So basically, in the material world, naturally there is a division of the social classes, and one is higher than the other. And by this, it does not mean that one is better or worse than the other. It simply means that they are different, and if there is that division in terms of who is higher and who is lower, and by this, again, it does not mean who is better or who is worse. It only means that the king is higher in terms of his position than the prime minister, and the prime minister is higher than, let's say, a mayor of a certain city. Or, for instance, the CEO is higher in terms of his position than the department managers, and they are higher than their subordinates. So in terms of the divine system of society organization, it's best when there is the intellectual class, which gives guidance to ruling class, and based on that, the ruling class organizes the society in the way that it's most harmonious for the development of the society and for each individual there. And in best case, when the intellectual class, they are truthful, when they follow their duties, when they study the Holy Scriptures, when they combine the different aspects of knowledge about the world around us, when they have the inner power to actually impact the ruling class, and in best case, when the ruling class have the qualities represented in them as well. Those are, like mentioned before, heroism, power, determination, resourcefulness, like courage and all others. And if the ruling class is able to organize the society in the most harmonious way, then it means that the entrepreneurial class would have an opportunity to create the commodities and the services, and to organize the cash flows in the economics of the country, also in a harmonious way, because entrepreneurial class usually follow the system that is organized by the ruling class. And the entrepreneurial class, they also hire the labor class in order to so they could help them doing creating the commodities or other things. And there are also the four areas of life, and these are the physical, emotional, social, also the intellectual, and spiritual. And in a harmonious society, we would see that there is a clear understanding of what in a harmonious society we would find that each individual is able to understand exactly what is included into each areas of life, into each area of life, and how to develop there in the most harmonious way. And so the same could be applied to the intellectual class as well as the ruling class, who understand how to organize the society so that everyone would be able to develop in a harmonious way in all the four areas of life. And apart from that, there are also the four goals of life, which are doing duties, the economic development, and also the sensual pleasures and liberation. So as for the philosophical and actually the metaphysical aspect of what these four goals of life mean, is that the way how they are presented and how they are interrelated, this is something that it could be described that this way is how this way is something that is that is in the as for the doing duties, economic development, sensual pleasures, and the liberation, we would find that the harmonious society would have a focus on the four goals of life, which unite the interests of the soul and body. And there is also a simple formula to be followed in terms of these four goals of life, and it all starts with the duties, which means that one should understand what their nature is, be it either of the intellectual class, the ruling class, entrepreneurial class, or the labor class, to act according to one's duties. And in this regard, it's actually not very beneficial when a person tries to imitate another's duties, because in this way he wouldn't be happy, and also there wouldn't be harmony and happiness in the society in general. So in best case, when one is able to follow one's own duty, and if we take a certain individual and let's say they follow their duties in the right way, and it means that these would bring the economic development or wealth, and in best case, some of it would be spent on the sensual pleasures, because in this way the mind would be satisfied, the senses as well. And there is also a certain thing that should be taken into consideration, is that wealth should be more than the sensual pleasures, because otherwise it would lead to degradation. And an example of this rule that is broken is, let's say a person gets a loan from bank in order to fulfill one's desire, and it means that he does not really have the exact wealth to acquire a certain thing, but with that loan he actually gets it right away. He's now able to enjoy it, but in this way, this is actually when this simple rule is broken, and there is a higher chance that that person wouldn't be really satisfied about it. And so when this part is followed, then the first we start with the duties. It leads to economic development, and some part of it would be spent on the sensual pleasures. With the help of the spiritual practice as well as the studying of the Holy Scriptures, it would all lead to it would all create a foundation for the spiritual development itself, and the liberation as well. And as for the liberation, this is something that could be described from the point of view of different spiritual tradition as breaking either breaking the cycle of birth and death, or coming back to the spiritual realm, or getting rid of the material bondage or the duality of the world around us. And as for the four natures of people, there are also the responsibilities associated to each of those four goals. And the intellectual class, where we would find priests, scientists, or other related professions here, they are mostly focused on the aspect of life of the liberation for the society, which means that they give guidance to others on how to do the duties in the right way and to grow spiritually. And if we talk about the ruling class, this is where we would find the duties organized and followed, which means that they are responsible for creating the system of laws, or let's say state laws or something like that, which would help others to follow their duties in the right way. And how to do it, they usually listen to the intellectual class. And the next part would be the entrepreneurial class, which are who are responsible for the economic development, which is the third goal of life. And as for the labor class, we would usually find the sensual pleasures here. And as for the four natures of people and the related four goals of life in terms of their responsibilities, here I would also mention that when the ruling class, when they organize the duties in the society, it means that they create the foundation so that all others would be able to follow their duties. So it means the intellectual class would follow their duties. The same could be said about the entrepreneurial class or labor class. When the entrepreneurial class, they create the foundation for the economic development, it means that there are the cash flows, there are the taxes for the state, for the ruling class, and they would spend it on the protection and on duties further organized for others in order to live in, let's say, in a house. There should be some people of the labor class who would be able to build houses. Let's say the construction workers, and let's say there are also artists, musicians who create the sensual pleasures. So anyone, let's say a person from the intellectual class or ruling class or entrepreneurial class or labor class, they would have to live in a certain place, in a house which was built by somebody from labor class. They would also listen to the music or enjoy some arts, or go to a restaurant where a delicious food is prepared. So these are all the aspects of the sensual labor, of the sensual pleasures, and it means that all the four classes of people would also use it. And the next part is the deviations from the divine system of the society. And the first one of them would be the democracy, which is basically the power of the majority. So it means the labor class, and it actually means that in most cases that the labor class, they are usually focused on the sensual pleasures, on the bodily concept of life, on getting as much pleasures from life as possible, and also in most cases, it would mean doing less duties if it's possible. And in terms of democracy, it means that a politician who promises to give as much sensual pleasures and like less duties to be followed. This is the person who in most cases would be elected in terms of democracy, and in this way it means that it's not the intellectual class who is the head of the society, but the labor class. The next part would be the dictatorship, which means the power of the ruling class, with no taking into consideration the morality of ruling or listening to the intellectual class. And this is something where there would be an attempt to extract as much taxes from the people, or to exploit them, so that those of the ruling class would enjoy the benefits that they get from such exploitation of the society. And it also means that there would be the mood of fear, where the nature of people is not encouraged. Let's say an intellectual class would be forced to work in the area he's not suitable for. And if we talk about the capitalism, this is basically the power of the entrepreneurial class, and this is where we would see the emphasis on the excessive work, consumption, and greed is like the central value of accumulating new things, buying new things, and this is where there is mostly also the exploitation of the entrepreneurial class of the other three classes. And it actually means that in most cases, in this regard, there wouldn't be much time left for the spiritual development, and this concept is sort of like purely materialistic. And in terms of the communism, we would see sort of an envy to other classes, which leads to an elimination of the classes and also an attempt to give power to the labor class. And in terms of the so-called equality movements, we would see an attempt to eliminate the differences between the classes and their respective duties, as well as put in rights about following duties. And as for this part, I could also mention that for the four goals of life, and that is doing duties, economic development, sensual pleasures, and liberation, the aspect of rights would fall into category of the sensual pleasures in this regard. And as for the simple formula that I explained earlier, that duties leads to wealth, and some part of the wealth would be spent on sensual enjoyments, and these altogether should lead to liberation if the spiritual practice is applied. So according to this formula, it means that rights is the rights is the outcome of the duties. So let's say if we claim that we have a right for safety, to be able to walk on the streets without a fear of being robbed, it means that this right of safety is fulfilled when someone who are the police who actually do their duties. So in other words, if the police don't do their duties, it means the right in safety is not really fulfilled. In the same way, we could see we could also compare that if a person says that he has the right to be healthy, and let's say now he's sick, and he wants to recover his health, and he goes to a doctor, and it means that the success of restoring the health would depend on how well this doctor is able to follow his duties. So in the modern so-called equality movements, there is not really an understanding of that duties stand above rights, and that's why in terms of these movements we would often see that there is a tempting idea of claiming more rights and even more rights, and in some cases desiring to do less duties. So as for the comparison of the divine system of society and other types or other systems in general, so in the divine system of the society organization, where the intellectual class is on top of the society, who give guidance to the ruling class and how to organize the state, how to rule the society, where the entrepreneurial class work in this system, and the labor class, where they also do their duties, and in best case when they all follow their duties, when they work according to their nature, and where there is an idea to serve others. So let's say a king is someone who is not the one who enjoys the royal kingdom, but the one who is a servant of his people. And as for this divine system, where there are these four classes, where there are these four social orders with the respective duties of theirs, where they know how to do their duties with enthusiasm, with the detachment, with an ability to cooperate with each other, and with no mood of exploitation. So in this divine system there is a focus on following duties, but at the same time in other systems we would see an aspect of putting rights and pleasures above duties. In the divine system we would see that it's a society in goodness, which the aspect that was covered in the beginning of the video. And in other systems we would find that most often these would be the societies of passion and ignorance. In the divine system there is the collective nature of people, where people they trust each other when they know how to cooperate, when they help each other, especially when there is a difficulty. And in terms of the other systems we would see the individualism, especially how it can be seen in the West, where there are those ideas of private space, private property, being superficial in relationships, being individualistic. And in terms of the divine system there is the mood of service, service to others. And in terms of the other system there is the mood of consumption, especially when it's let's say capitalism. And in the divine system there is a huge aspect of spiritual development. In the tradition where one chooses the tradition that is closer to his heart, be it Christianity, Islam, or let's say Judaism, or the branches of Vedic tradition. In terms of the other systems, there would be usually a forgetfulness of spiritual nature. In terms of the divine system, there would be also the consciousness of abundance. So it means that a person is able to be happy right here, right now, with their needs fully fulfilled, with the spiritual development, with the aspect of kindness and goodness to be presented in each individual. And in terms of other systems, there would be in many cases this would be the scarcity consciousness. And as for the divine system, there would be also the harmony and development in all the four areas of life, and this would be the physical, emotional and social, intellectual and spiritual all together. And in terms of the other systems, there would be either negligence or unbalanced development in four areas of life. And I'm going to finish with the concept of the activities, which could be in the three modes. This is something that was a part of the previous video on the three layers of life with the corresponding with the corresponding conductors of these modes, and one of them would be the activities. And basically the activities in the mode of goodness, passion, or ignorance. This is something that could be sometimes found in either of the four categories of people, be it of the intellectual class, the ruling class, entrepreneurial class, or the labor class. And in best case, when the society, when each individual in the society is able to do their duties as activities in goodness, or even better, as with the detachment from the results of work, and is an offering to the divine. So basically, in terms of the activities in the mode of goodness, this is where a person does their duties with without attachment, outside of the duality of happiness and distress, with enthusiasm, with the right understanding and in the right mood, with an ability to cooperate, and also being able to distinguish between what is right and what is to be done and what is not to be done. And in terms of the activities and passion, this is where we would find an attachment to the outcomes, excessive work, being in the duality of happiness and distress, being attached to the sensual enjoyment in general. And in terms of the activities in ignorance, this is where we would find some aspects of laziness, being unable to concentrate on important things, not always being able to understand, to distinguish between what is to be done and what is not to be done, with the disorganization, procrastination, and also all sorts of things in this regard. And I'm going to mention this again, that for the social orders in the society, in best case when the activities are done in the mode of goodness, and even better as an offering to the divine. And to conclude, I'm going to mention that in this video we talked about the four natures of people: the intellectual class, the ruling class, the entrepreneurial class, and the labor class. We also covered the aspects of the areas of work and the qualities of each category. Also the four areas of life and the four goals of life, with the corresponding responsibilities for each of those four groups, and also the divine society, organization, and the forms of deviations from it, and also the activities of three modes in three modes, which can be found in any of those four social classes, with the aspect of the activities in goodness. And basically that's it for today, and thank you for your attention.